Well, thank you. Yes, the Olympics just got over. I think the overall impression, it was an absolutely fantastic Olympics from different perspectives. One is that you've seen it was a unique and a very different kind of Olympics. The opening ceremony was on the River Seine. Many of the events were held in temporary stadiums that were built at iconic sites of Paris, which everyone in the world is familiar with. And so, in a sense, it brought the Olympics out of the stadium into the city. And every Olympics is associated with a city. So, to that extent, I think it wasn't the thrill of competition, but it was also the visual appeal of watching the competition. Overall, you saw also packed arenas, joyous crowds. And of course, as I said, magnificent venues. This was also an Olympics in which you had some astonishing, spectacular performances. But it was a safe and secure Olympics. There were excellent security arrangements. This is one of the most difficult times in the world. There are wars, there are persisting terrorism threats, especially to France. But overall, the security management was excellent, and I think more and more Olympics movement is becoming conscious of sustainability and reducing carbon footprints. So France built just two new structures, in a sense, the Games Village and a swimming arena. But the rest of the events were held essentially in renovated existing structures or in temporary stadiums that you saw. There were other measures to reduce the carbon footprint, including increased emphasis on vegetarianism in the food at the Olympics Games Village and in various catering units around the city. But what is also interesting is overall the smooth management, the access to stadiums, exit from stadiums were all a very pleasant experience. So the overall visitor and spectator experience was also quite extraordinary. Overall, the impression around the world is that this did a great to revitalize the interest in Olympics around the world. And there would be some issues, I think, which we hear feedback from the athletes about some of the arrangements at the Games Village, including the absence of air conditioning. The temperature and humidity made it very difficult for them to rest properly, which is very essential. Without air conditioning, there were some issues relating to food, which is in a sense understandable because you're catering to the tastes of people from around the world. More than the entire world is over here with different tastes. So there were some issues around that. There's some logistics issues, but I think overall it was an excellent Olympics, and France deservedly should feel proud about the way it organized it, especially as it did something which was very ambitious and daring. Well, I'll tell you this, we have been working with the Indian Olympic Association, the Sports Authority of India, the various federations, and of course with the Sports Ministry, as well as some of the foundations set up by the corporates, which were involved in one form or the other, such as the Reliance Foundation or the JSW, to provide support as the representative of the country on the ground. We've been doing this for a year. We had been advising them on some of the local conditions, some of the local requirements, things to watch out for in order to plan for our participation here. And I think they've taken on board many of those suggestions. And throughout the Olympics, we've been trying to coordinate. There was very clear instruction from Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi that everything should be done to make sure that the athletes and their support team were comfortable, that their convenience was looked after, and that nothing was missing in order for them to focus entirely on their training and on their performance. And so he was very clear that we should do everything for their convenience and comfort, and for their training, their recovery, their rest, so that they can deliver peak performance. And as you've seen that in the course of this, before the Olympics began, the embassy helped in in securing a lot of or procuring a lot of the medical equipment, in some of the recovery equipment that is required, very specialized units for sports people, in setting up some of the logistics and furniture and other requirements in the Games Village, providing flags, and so many different ways we've been providing all kinds of support. And naturally, we had anticipated at the embassy that July can be sometimes be very hot and humid. And so we had, in a sense, made arrangements that if there is an emergency, if there is an immediate requirement, we should be able to provide the air conditioning units. And we were able to, within just matter of hours of getting us sanctions from the sports ministry, we were able to procure 40 ACs and deliver them to the Games Village as soon as the gates opened in the morning, for them to be delivered. And there are 38 rooms which our athletes were using. So I think everyone was very comfortable after that. But, again, our effort throughout was to be sure that we are ready to proactively respond to every need. You also had a situation where one of the athletes who was participating in golf met with an accident during in the course of travel through the city in a car, and our embassy folks were there right immediately, and some of our people were there with them, with the family and with the golfer through the night, in order to make sure that there were no difficulties at the hospital and that the athlete got the full attention. So I think in very diverse ways, and as I keep once again would like to repeat that I think it was very clear instructions from Prime Minister. And as you know, he's very focused on sports. He's very focused on youth development and empowerment, and he is very keen to ensure that the system works in a manner that the athletes' output is the best possible. And so I think our entire effort was guided by that. Well, there are always two ways to look at it. One way is to look at the tally of medals that we have and where we stand in the ranking. And the other way is to actually go deeper and look at the performance of the athletes. I would choose this later. Of course, there were moments of highs, there were moments of disappointments or missed chances that all of us saw. But I think on the whole, the performance, we're seeing a vast improvement. I mean, there are the countries that have perhaps done much better. But if I look at the average performance, whether we look at the 6 medals that we won, or we look at the fact that we had nearly 6 or 7 fourth positions, or also the timing or the performance of many of the athletes in other disciplines, I would say that we see a broad increase in the output and performance of our athletes at this Olympics. But I'd like to go even beyond that, and I'd say that in my interaction with the athletes during my visit to the Games Village and outside, I see a very different approach. They are far more confident of themselves. They are no longer intimidated as easily by the magnitude of the occasion or by their opponents. They are physically much fitter, as you would have seen on the hockey field, that they were able to keep pace with Australians till the last minute, or with Germans. It's just a matter of chance that they lost to Germany. So I'd say mental fitness, physical fitness, attitude, approach, that has all improved vastly, and they're no longer simply satisfied with the fact that they participated in the Olympics. And of course, I would like to emphasize this also. Since 2016, this is the 3rd Olympics, right? Yeah. And in each of those 3, we've had more than 100 members qualifying to participate. Yeah. That in itself is an achievement. We used to have much smaller contingents. 47 out of those 117 were women. Yeah. So nearly, we're talking 40%, and it is certainly going to go up to 50%. So in whichever parameter you look at, I think there is a vast improvement in our performance. This is a journey. This is not a destination already in 2024. And I'm confident that it will improve even further, and that we will continue to get more medals. Now, if you look at the top medal winners, first you would see that about 5 or 6 countries account for majority of the medals. But if you go deeper into their medals tally, you would see that each of them may be actually gathering most of their medals or a significant part of their medals in just a few disciplines.
Yeah.
For the US, athletics, right? Australian swimming. For the Japanese, it's judo and wrestling. Chinese have a certain, again, in swimming, in gymnastics, in artistic swimming, etc., and some of the other disciplines as well. So I think that's something we also need to focus on, is to identify those core areas of our competitive strength, even as we try to lift the overall performance across the broadest range of disciplines that you can think of. And and there are, of course, you mentioned something, there were odd chances. You've referred to the situation of wrestler Vinesh Phogat, or the day when Neeraj Chopra was competing. I mean, of course, he has that X factor wherever he competes. There is a wave of excitement, not just in India, but in the Olympic Stadium as well. There's that star quality. But that was a day when the gold medal winner, Arshad Nadeem, all of us who were there saw it. I mean, he made a throw of 93 meters, which can be sometimes classified as a freak throw, of course. I mean, he's also a strong athlete. But these things happen in sporting with yourself, and you try to keep improving your performances. And I think the reason for this, and this is something you mentioned, is the overall support now that athletics and sports is getting in a very systematic manner. It includes infrastructure, it includes training, capacity buildings, sports medicine, and increased competition.
Yeah.
So each of these athletes were able to bring, for example, their nutritionists, their coaches, their trainers. For the first time in Olympics, we had a full medical recovery unit in our camp, which was at par with anything else. Now, those of us, or those of you who have seen sports, recognize that recovery after one outing is critical for next performance.
Exactly.
And it's a very scientific and a very approach to doing it. So we had sleep pods, we had ice baths, we had massages, we had physiotherapists. Everything was provided for in our own camp with the best doctors and best physicians and best physiotherapists, etc., sports psychologists, sleep specialists. All of this had been provided by the government for the first time. And I think that, of course, the athletes also need to respond in the way that the government is also providing support to, and they are. They recognize this. And so I'm confident that, these things don't happen overnight. With the kind of support that the government is providing for the development of sports and athletics, to what was provided during the Olympics, as I have mentioned, including the facilities for recovery and for medical treatment, etc. I'd say that we are on the right path, and then we can look to a much brighter future. But it is also important, and I'd like to emphasize this to the viewers, that we don't forget about Olympics and athletics the day the closing ceremony is over. Shouldn't treat this as a 2-week entertainment process, but pay the same level of attention to it, and once throughout the year and for 4 years. And if we do that, there'll be a lot more market around some of the non-traditional sports other than cricket, etc. And when that happens, you'll see more money, more incentives, and more people coming to participate, and it will raise the overall standards, as we've seen in the case of cricket. So I'd like to also say this, that we shouldn't just move on and then recover and then remember Olympics in 2028 when LA comes upon us. So this must be a consistent effort. Well, I mean, this is one of the most time-tested relationships that India has with any country. It is a key strategic partner. There is unmatched level of confidence, comfort, and consistency on this partnership. It is, of course, based on our shared democratic values, but also we draw a lot of strength from strategic autonomy that we both believe in. And that is what gives us that comfort, that we are both nations that take independent decisions and we respect the decisions each take. You will notice France never asks us questions on why we do certain things. And so it is also the first country with which we signed a strategic partnership. It was in 1998 under the leadership of then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Since then, this relationship has progressed and transformed across every sector. You have seen last year was an iconic year in our relationship when Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi was the chief guest at the French National Day on July 14, 2023. And got an unprecedented reception and welcome by the French people and by President Emmanuel Macron. It is unthinkable and unprecedented the manner in which Prime Minister was received here. And our Prime Minister reciprocated that by inviting President Emmanuel Macron as the chief guest for Republic Day 2024. Now, it's never happened between two countries, this back-to-back reciprocal honor. And this is just a reflection of the strength, the confidence, and the depth and the diversity of our partnership. And it is also a recognition that this relationship is going to grow in salience in the emerging global order. And through these years, through political changes in India and in France, our relationship has continued to progress. And there's no reason that it is going to be any different. And we expect that regardless of the political transitions here and political changes in India, this relationship will continue to grow. And I'd say this, that Prime Minister has invested heavily in this relationship, both personally in relationship that he has with the political leadership here, but in the overall India-France strategic partnership, and it is showing results. Well, as you know, we after evaluating various options, the Indian Navy had decided to opt for Rafale marine versions for the Indian Aircraft Carrier 1, which is an indigenously built aircraft carrier. It intends to procure 26 of those, and currently there are negotiations going on between Indian Navy and the French manufacturer Dassault, as well as with the French government. So hopefully, once the negotiations are completed to mutual satisfaction, that we'll be in a position to start the procurement. But we need aircraft urgently, because our aircraft carrier currently does not have aircraft, and that's the purpose of the aircraft carrier, is to have aircraft that can perform various naval functions. Well, I think August 15 is a very special day for all Indians. It goes without saying, each year we are reminded of the extraordinary gift of independence and freedom that we all enjoy as a result of the most amazing freedom struggle that the people of India had conducted against the greatest power in the world at that time in the most peaceful manner. The moral foundations of that freedom struggle continues to guide us even today. And we've built a nation today, justifiably proud to have built a country amidst the greatest diversity, in which every citizen is secure of his rights and confident of his or her future, where we are on the path of economic growth, soon to be the third largest economy in the world. We have a voice and influence in the world, that we have been an ardent champion of the global South and an advocate of global peace. So this is a country that can justifiably, 1.4 billion people, have every good reason to celebrate the Independence Day. And it is also a moment for us to rededicate ourselves to the vision of the founding fathers, to the promises that are written into our Constitution, and to the vision that we collectively have to make India a Viksit Bharat in 2047, but a Viksit Bharat that belongs to everyone, which is built on the joint hands of 1.4 billion people, and in which every citizen of India enjoys the fruits of that development. this is so just as we celebrate our journey so far, we have to rededicate ourselves to the journey that lies ahead over the next 25 years to achieve our destiny. And I'd like to say that here, of course, in France, the growing Indian community is always very enthusiastic about the Independence Day and the Republic Day. And on the Independence Day, of course, this is a holiday season in France, but we have a very enthusiastic participation by the Indian community at the flag hoisting ceremony in the embassy. And over the last 3 Independence Days, I have seen the number of people who attend the flag hoisting ceremony, which is a public event, has grown really exponentially. So it is a reflection of the deep emotional links that the growing Indian community here has with India, that they turn up in such large numbers, usually on a working day, to participate in the flag hoisting ceremony and to celebrate the Independence Day of India. We're also using this opportunity to continue to mount the campaign of Har Ghar Tiranga, to generate that sense of unity and patriotism that Prime Minister has spoken about, and also to use this opportunity once again to promote the program of Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam. I think this is a great initiative of restoring the health of our biodiversity and expanding the forest cover. And when we see the kind of challenges we are facing in India today or anywhere in the world, due to the extreme climate conditions and weather conditions, and the havoc it wreaks in villages, in hilly areas, in cities now, that this program needs to be taken up with the highest sense of priority and urgency. So this is once again a moment of pride, but also a moment for us to commit ourselves to the future that we envision for India.